Don't give this sucker no statue. Give him some guts. This is Mark Bell from SuperTraining.tv. Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. That message was from Clubber Lang. Remember that in Rocky 3? Pretty amazing. Go back and watch it if you don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, we got some great stuff to get to today at the Power Project, sponsored by HowMuchYouBench.net and the only strength magazine in the world, thepowermagazine.com. What we are talking about today is overextension and anterior pelvic tilt. I will put a diagram up so you guys know what the hell that means. Basically, it means that you have a protruding gut, your belly's sticking out, your hips are back this way, your hips are rotated that way, anterior pelvic tilt, and your hips are pointing downward towards the ground. How many people suffer from that? Nearly everybody who's an athlete. Anybody who's ever done any of explosive movements, anyone who has an ass, has that issue in a lot of cases. Not everybody, but many people have that. Many athletes that I see, especially people that come from a bodybuilding background or a powerlifting background, you see that right away. They got the booty sticking out, booty popping all over the place. So the question comes from somebody who is examining some of the information from EliteFTS.com, which spits out enormous amounts of great information. You should check out their website. They have a lot of good insight on that website. Not too bad. But I do not like the coaching cue where you teach people to push their hips back, because a lot of times many individuals are too flexible, or many individuals already have their hips shifted back. It's kind of like the head up cue. I have an individual in my gym named Mr. Robot Pants, whose squat has improved tremendously simply by getting him out of overextension, aka anterior pelvic tilt, excessive anterior pelvic tilt. We put his head down. He looks downward towards the ground a little bit more nowadays. He doesn't stick his butt back anymore. He actually initiates the squat from his knees. The take-home message from this is, you hear something, you hear a cue, you hear a coach say something, somebody like Dave Tate who has tons of valuable information, and you try it for yourself. But you have to ask yourself, is this really going to work that well for me? And are you built like the other individuals that he's directing in the video? I'm not sure of the video you speak of. I've never seen it, but I do understand the way that many individuals are taught on how to do a box squat. Also, keep in mind, if the video that you are watching is referring to a box squat and a regular squat are different. Many people that box squat in gear will tell you that they are not different, but people that lift raw and actually move big weights will tell you that they are a lot different, that they're not even related at all. That's not to say you can't use a box squat if you're a raw lifter. You certainly can. It certainly does have its benefits, but they are two different styles of squatting. Just like a front squat. You could use a front squat in training and that could benefit you, but it's nothing like a back squat, correct? We're all on the same page. Page 43 with the People's Coach. So one of the reasons why you don't want to do that, you don't want to get into overextension. You don't want to have your head up too high. You want everything to be a little bit more neutral. You want to lock everything in with your ass. You want to flex your butt. You want to keep your hips forward. As I like to say, you want to show the judge your belt for as long as you possibly can, even if you dip down and break parallel. You shouldn't be so forward, because what happens in that position, hips are back, shoulders are somewhat forward. What's going to happen in that position? You're going to have to try to good morning that squat back up, aren't you? And that's going to get pretty nasty. You don't want to have your hips too far away from the barbell. Having your hips in a good relationship to where the barbell is crucial. That's why you always hear the cue, knees out, or open up at the groin. That's exactly what you want to do. The best way to squat possible is to try to be in the most upright position that you can handle. It's different for each person, but if you look at some of the really big squats, some of these guys out there do a tremendous job of staying upright. There's always exceptions to the rule on these different coaching cues. Stan Efferding being one of them. He doesn't have anterior pelvic tilt. His hips are actually rotated the other way. He actually, even though he's a bodybuilder, powerlifter, he doesn't have the typical bodybuilder ass. He doesn't have the typical giant ass that you normally see from a lot of these big lifters. His hips are rotated forward. He walks with his feet ducked out. He's able to force his knees out incredibly on a squat So what he'll do, if you watch him closely, he'll unrack the weight. Hips are forward in the beginning of the lift, but as he starts to descend, he then starts to arch to the lower back. And when he arches through the lower back, guess where he ends up? Not overextended, not overarched. He ends up neutral. And that's the key, is that you end up neutral. That's what's always the key factor here. If you take somebody who has anterior pelvic tilt, you take a female, you take a guy who's flimsy and not and is mobile, it's not super strong, and they already have anterior pelvic tilt, have them force their hips back and watch them fall apart in front of your very eyes. I'm not a big fan of that cue because it doesn't apply to the masses. Try to take information and try to have it apply the best you can to yourself, to your body, and to your needs. Strength is never a weakness, and that is it from supertraining.tv.